These derivations could bring up questions about free will, since awareness seems to only take place after the action within our perception of time.
So the experiment that I developed to look at this is we wire you up typically to look at skin conductance, but also heart rate and other parameters. You will sit in front of a computer screen and you press a button, and you know that 5 seconds later you're going to see a picture. It could be a very calm picture, or it might be a very emotional picture. And it's randomly selected by the computer immediately before it's shown. So when you press the button, the future is not yet determined. So you need real precognition in order to be able to jump into the future and get it somehow. So since we're looking at your physiology, we know what happens to physiology after you see an emotional image. And we know what happens after you see a calm image. The question is, does that future experience leak into your present? Does it happen before you see the picture? And through this experiment, you can see what happens. Electrical activity of the heart, EKG. This is photoplethysmograph, which is the amount of blood in the fingertip. And respiration, breathing in, breathing out. Press the button, well, what happens to physiology? Well, if it starts rising before the image appears, it may suggest that you're about to get an emotional picture. And if it stays calm, it suggests maybe you're going to get a calm picture. So we've done this kind of experiment for several hundred people, and colleagues have run this experiment as well. And as it turns out, that is exactly what you see. People become aroused before randomly selected pictures in the future that happen to be emotional, and they remain calm before randomly selected pictures that are calm. This has been seen in heart rate changes, in skin conductance, in the brain, and basically systemically throughout the body.
Most neurological investigations have shed light on this question, show that action is indeed taken before becoming conscious of it. But a deterministic point of view is based on an erroneous concept of time, as is illustrated by the mathematical probability descriptions in quantum mechanics.
His hands are flat, his thumbs are up in the air where everybody can see them.
Something is happening here.
And he thinks something is happening. He has now discarded the keys in his left hand. The boy still is covering the keys in Uri's right hand. Uri, incidentally, is left-handed. Now lift your hand. Ken, lift your hand. Do you see any keys bending?
I see one. Oh, yes, this is bending.
One key
Wait a minute, I have to show this to the TV. Yeah, this key is going. Yeah, wait a minute.
Yes, definitely. It's a big, thick brass schlag or schlager type of key.
I don't know what this
just
key
like
is
the one he
for.
bent last night for
You
us.
see what I'm doing is I'm stroking it very, very gently. And yeah, it's curling up more. I don't know
You see
how
that,
well
Ken?
you can see it.
It's really happening, huh?
It's bending even more.
Yeah, this will curl up a little more here. You see, I'm putting an energy into it. Can you see this from the...
That's incredible.
There's absolutely no heat. Ken, touch the key. And you'll see the touch touches under, or under where it's
Right where
bending.
it's
Do you
bending.
feel any heat? There's absolutely no... You do feel it. But there's really no heat. It's, you touch it. I mean, you can see there's really heat on you.
No, it's
No,
just the body
it's the
warmth.
body warmth
Body
that
warmth,
you're
and it's
feeling.
continuing to bend.
Just want to show it to the camera.
Can you see that?
Oh, look! Another key.
There goes another one.
The key that he has bent is fastened to a key cluster,
I think
and
another one
another
is
key
bending
is
here.
beginning to bend on the cluster fastened
Yeah,
below
this is
it.
going also now. But let me just show it to everybody because the TV camera is so...
Light-emitting diodes, which ignite in different colors according to the intensity of current.
Yes.
On, off, on.
Brilliant.
Oh, you're blinking.
He then took our newspaper outside and showed us how qi can also be used to set things on fire.
The evidence in physics comes partly from relativity and partly from quantum theory, or perhaps more from quantum theory than relativity.
By building on de Broglie's equations, we can substitute these concepts with abstract vectors. This is a probability-oriented approach towards the basic and already existing concepts in physics that allows us to unify quantum mechanics with Einstein's relativity. De Broglie's equations show how all reference frames are quantized, including all matter and all energy. Particle accelerators have demonstrated that matter and antimatter are always created simultaneously. The paradox of how reality can emerge from abstract building blocks that annihilate each other can be explained by using these quanta as the frame of reference. In a simplified analogy, we need to look at things through the eyes of a photon. The reference frame is always a quantum and defines how spacetime is quantized. When it increases or decreases, spacetime increases or decreases as well. Reflected in quantum mechanics as the mathematical description of the probability amplitude of the wave function, or in Einstein's relativity as time dilation and length contraction. For a quantized frame of reference, mass and energy can only be defined as abstract probabilities, or, if we want to be more concrete and establish a mathematical framework, as vectors which can only exist when we assume an arrow of time. They can be derived as resonance and interference with the reference frame which defines the minimum unit or spacetime constant c, equivalent to the constant of Planck in quantum mechanics. Experiments show how conversion of matter into energy through its antimatter brings about gamma rays with exact opposite momentum. What seems to be a conversion is the ratio between opposite vectors interpreted as distance and time, matter and antimatter, mass and energy, or interference and resonance within the abstract arrow of time of c now. The sum of opposite vectors is always zero. This is the reason for the symmetry or conservation laws in physics, or why at the speed of c, time and space are zero due to length contraction and time dilation. A consequence is the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which states that certain pairs of physical properties, such as the position and momentum, cannot be known simultaneously to high precision. In a sense, a single particle is its own field.
This new brain research proves that the human brain is the observer that collapses the wave function, since quantum physics says it is the observer that changes an electron from a wave into a particle.
Recent scientific journals and studies have shown that the placebo effect is more than just a perceived conception. The ability of the human mind to adversely or positively affect its own health has been recorded and documented.
All other emotions branch either directly or indirectly from these two emotions. Fear has a long and slow frequency vibration to it, while love has a very rapid and high frequency. To show that vibration is the very foundation of existence, Hans Jenne developed what is known as cymatics in the 1940s to show that when vibrations of sound are passed through a form of media, there is a set pattern that will follow. When the frequency increases, the media develops into a more complex pattern. This is precisely what is happening to our Earth and to humanity.
This next series of photographs are the work of Japanese researcher Mr. Masaru Emoto from his book, The Message from Water. Mr. Emoto's work provides factual evidence that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. Please remember that water comprises over 70% of a mature human body and covers the same amount on our planet. Water is the very source of all life. This photo shows the beautifully formed geometric design of the Yushi Spring water. This next photo is from the Shimanto River, the last clean spring in Japan. Notice the extraordinary geometric forms. The fact that the molecular structure of water can be affected by our consciousness, our intent, and our sounds is extremely important. This photo is from the Mount Cook Glacier in New Zealand. Mr. Emoto has been visually documenting these molecular changes in water by means of his photographic techniques. He freezes droplets of water, then examines them under a dark field microscope that has photographic capabilities. His work clearly demonstrates the diversity of the molecular structure of water and the effects of the environment upon the structure of the water. This photo is from the fountain in Lourdes, France. This photo is from contaminated water from the Yodo River in Japan. In this photo, we can compare the contaminated water with clean stream water. Look at the difference. Mr. Emoto decided to see what effects music would have upon the structure of water. He placed distilled water between two speakers for several hours while playing different music and then photographing the crystals that formed after the water was frozen. This photo is of water being exposed to Beethoven's Pastorale. This photo is the effect of Bach's air for the G-string on the water. This photo is water exposed to Chopin's Farewell Song. This next photo is water being exposed and affected to music that was designed for healing. This photo is of water being exposed to the Kawachi folk dance. This photo shows the effect of heavy metal music upon the water. Here now we can compare the effects of healing versus heavy metal music and what happens to the water molecules. Mr. Emoto decided to see how thoughts and words affected the formation of untreated distilled water crystals by typing words onto paper and then taping this paper onto glass bottles overnight. This photo shows the effects of the words, "Thank you." This next photo shows the effects of the words, "love" and "appreciation." This photo shows the effects of the words, "You make me sick, I will kill you." And here we can compare the effects of "thank you" with the "you make me sick, I will kill you." Very, very different geometric forms being occurred through the intention. Now this photo is of a very polluted and toxic water from the Fujiwara Dam. Here now is the same water from the Fujiwara Dam after a Buddhist monk had offered a prayer over it. Prayer, that sound coupled with intention, seems to have an extraordinary ability of restoring water to its natural, harmonious, geometric symmetry. And in this photo we can compare the toxic water and then the effects of praying over the water
It's really quite impressive. These photographs that we have just seen show proof that not only does sound have the ability of affecting and changing physical structure, but that with regard to the molecular structure of water, that our intent with our sound is extremely important.
I hope that you've found this movie as entertaining and informative as I have making it. Remember to avoid the deceits and defenses of the status quo as they try to suppress what it means to truly be human.